In the next couple of days, on the 16th of August, we're going to get news about Alpha 2. When's it coming? How much is it going to cost? We currently know obviously that it is coming in October, but rarely have we seen such hype for an MMO, yet alone such hype for an alpha. And there's two parts to this conversation. One part is about expectations that are just fundamentally completely wrong or misunderstood in the community. And the other is what expectations of quality should we have for an alpha. Let's deal with the wrong expectations. At the moment, I think there's a lot of people interested in Ashes of Creation. Sure, I don't think it's yet hit the wider gaming audience in a huge way, but I would say that most MMO gamers are at least somewhat aware of Ashes of Creation, and I think a lot of them are interested in playing the game at some point. In the past, we had seen videos from people like Tim the Tatman, Summit, and of course recently the Pirate Software video where he talks about his plans for the game and for his guild. And while his vision of the game might not fully align with the reality of the game, or at least not the reality of the game that most of us understand it to be, the fact is there's a lot of people interested, and I think almost by default it stands to reason that for many of them, they won't fully understand what the game is going to be or is trying to be. Some might not realize that you can be killed anywhere in the open world with PvP, obviously with the caveat as a corruption, not that that will matter to some people. Some might not realize that it's a tab target game, and yes, it does have the action combat mode, but you can literally hit tab and cycle through the enemies even in that mode. Some might not realize that it's not a theme park MMO, and almost all of the game is going to take place in the open world. Some might not realize that there's currently a plan for it to take around about 250 hours to level. Some might not realize that there will be penalties if you die. Whatever it is, I think there's a slight disconnect with the amount of people following the game and interested in Ashes of Creation versus the amount of people that Ashes of Creation is actually for. That's not to say that Ashes of Creation won't be successful. Indeed, it can be, and hopefully it will be. And actually, I think that Ashes of Creation is trying to be one of the last sort of real full complete MMOs where a lot of people will find a place and have fun playing the game. It's just that for a lot of people it won't be the MMO they're looking for. Maybe they want World of Warcraft 2 where it's a little bit more theme parky and you actually go and do your raids, your dungeons, and you're teleporting around and you do your arenas and stuff like that. Traditionally, that's more of my kind of game, but I like what Ashes of Creation is trying to offer and that more complete holistic experience. But I think there's some good news, and that is that Alpha 2 should sort of settle some of these questions. A lot of people will find out if it is for them via Alpha 2. Now, some people literally won't look at the game until it comes out. That's fair enough. And that's if the game actually comes out and we don't end up getting stuck in like a permanent alpha. Now, whilst Alpha 2 obviously is not the full game, it should start giving people a truer feeling for what the game actually will be and how it will play. Obviously, the testing environment and the live game will be different, but on some levels, I think this is when reality starts to set in. When people start looking up the game, they will see Alpha 2 on YouTube and Twitch, and they'll start to get a feel for as it is at that moment in time. For me, Alpha 2 is pretty much when the chickens come home to roost. The dust will settle and we will see what is left behind. And I know it might sound crazy, but I've obviously never actually played Ashes of Creation. I wasn't in Alpha 1. I'm not in the sneaky Alpha 2 tests. There's a very real chance that somebody like me might not enjoy this game. It's not one that I would by default be interested in, but Ashes of Creation is so all-encompassing that I'm sort of hoping I can fit in somewhere. And there's a couple of reasons I might not like it. Maybe I won't like the combat. Maybe I won't like the PvP. Maybe I won't like the gathering. The point is, Alpha 2 is when people like me start getting a clearer picture of what the game is and how it will feel. But there's obviously an issue with that. It is, after all, just an alpha test, like an actual proper real alpha test. So what a lot of people will say, and something that I will do, if I do not like the alpha, I won't shelve the game and never return. I'll keep an eye on it and I'll see what happens before it actually comes out. Maybe they will tweak the thing that I don't like if I don't like something. I will give the game more than one chance, but I do think that there will sort of be a collision, and this collision will cause derision in some of the community. As much as everybody can talk about how this is a real alpha test, and Steven mentions it multiple times, and they'll say how things will be rough and unfinished. There's just so much hype and so many people interested in Ashes of Creation that for a lot of people, this will effectively be treated somewhat as a full release. And obviously it technically isn't. Let's imagine that the alpha has some massive issues. Maybe the gameplay isn't very good. Maybe there's some technical issues. The haters of the game will say, look, is this all they've done after 7 years or whatever the hell it is? How can it possibly be like this? And the copium addicts will have a little sniff and say, guys, obviously this is just a technical alpha. You can't expect it to be as polished as a full proper released MMO. And it'll go back and forth and back and forth. They'll say, oh, but they're charging for keys. Oh, but actually you're just supporting the development. You're not paying for a full game. You're supporting the development. And it's going to get pretty stupid. It's a little bit hard to predict, but I sort of feel like content creators, big names like Force Gaming, Asmon, will probably give it a fair try. I think Intrepid Studios have so much goodwill that even if the Alpha 2 sucked, a lot of people will just be like, hey, it's a test, we'll come back and we'll see what will happen. But then there will be people who are just frothing at the mouth, hating the game. That's going to happen as well. And then the copium inhalers will try to counter those. Honestly, I think it's going to be a mess online, and I'm not really looking forward to that. Let's be honest, over the years, if you say something negative about something that somebody likes, they won't necessarily accept that as valid constructive feedback. Some people who like things will not accept anything negative, and some people who will dislike something will not accept anything positive. And the truth, almost always inevitably, is somewhere in the middle. I really do think that Alpha 2 is the biggest moment in Ashes of Creation's history, except maybe the Kickstarter itself. It's going to be very important. So many expectations will come crushing either down or go up. If the game is fantastic, you could see it swell and grow and build. And if there's issues or, it's just not very entertaining for a lot of people, then it'll sort of fade into possibly nothing until we get the release. That, I guess, depends on how we get updates. That's the good thing, right? The unrealistic expectations start coming to an end when we see Alpha 2. Now, it's not the finished game, not every feature will be there, but over time, we start knowing what the game is and what to expect. We know in what direction they're trying to take the corruption system for the PvP. We know how the combat will feel. We'll know the full implications of its sandpark nature. We'll get to feel if the leveling is actually fun or not. We'll know if the death penalties are punishing or if it makes the game more exciting. These questions will be answered, even if not in the full answered form. I would say to anybody who's going to treat Ashes of Creation as a full release, please try not to do that. But I fully get why excitement is building, and a lot of people actually just want to get their hands on it and see what is going to materialize. I'm in that camp myself. Ashes of Creation is a lot of moving parts, and I don't need the Alpha 2 for everything to be perfectly balanced. I sort of need the proof of concept. Is it fun? Do the systems look like they could be balanced? Or is it all going to be like a disconnected mess? I'm hoping we find out soon. I don't know about you guys, but I can sort of feel it. The hype for Ashes of Creation is building. We're a month and a half away from when it potentially could arrive. People are interested in the game, and there's so much still unknown for me. I'm excited, but I'm nervous. Let's hope it's good. I don't have my end screen because I'm an idiot. I'm on the wrong scene in OBS, but I'll be streaming the update on Friday. Come and tune in if you want to watch that along with some people. We'll enjoy the Ask Me Anything from Stephen. And a big shout out to my patrons who I don't have on the screen because I'm incompetent. For now, have a most beautiful day though. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.